My name is Chiwoza Bandawe. I'm the editor of the Malawi Medical Journal. I am an associate professor in the Department of Mental Health at the College of Medicine, University of Malawi. The AJPP has really been a lifeline for the Malawi Medical Journal. There is so much that it has given towards the journal. For instance, in terms of operationalization of the journal, the AJPP has managed to supply funding for us to buy basic equipment, hardware equipment, updating software, paying for our renewing and revamping of our website. So at that level, in terms of the day-to-day operations of running the journal, the AJPP has been very, very helpful. It has also been helpful in terms of providing an intern or funding for an intern who is able to come in as a student, usually a fourth-year medical student at the University of Malawi. And the intern is able to help with the day-to-day management of the journal, to help with ensuring that the communication between the authors and the editors and the editorial board is happening, following up on authors, following up on peer reviewers, and just again ensuring that the day-to-day operationalization of the journal is happening at that level. So it's been very useful to have an intern, and it's something that is really a win-win situation. The journal wins, the student wins, because they're interested in writing, they are learning a lot about how journals operate and that kind of thing. So again, that's been very useful and very helpful. So that's another level. Also in terms of helping with the desk editor, that's been very helpful and useful. We really relied on the desk editor in terms of how the journal operates on a day-to-day function. In terms of going beyond the running of the journal, the AJPP has really contributed to writing in terms of providing funding for training in terms of workshops for peer reviewers. So we have some peer reviewers, and the AJPP was able to provide funding for us to bring them together and to make sure that the peer reviewers were on common ground. We've also had writing workshops where people who are like lecturers, research associates, have come for training in terms of writing. They've been able to learn what journal editors require. So at least they have that background and they have that information. So that's been very useful at the training level. The AJPP has also been very instrumental in terms of the partnership that we have. Now, the Malawi Medical Journal is partnered with JAMA, the Journal of the American Medical Association. And that has, again, been a very important lifeline in terms of helping us have access to resources. So, for instance, through that link with JAMA, we have managed to travel over to Chicago and spend some time seeing how a well-organized, professional, long-standing journal operates. And we've been able to have discussions and input and suggestions about our layout, about our web design, about introducing different sections to our journal. So the week we spent there was very informative, and it really inspired and gave us a lot of fresh ideas. In terms of support again from the AJPP, we have really come up to a very high standard in terms of, for example, Manuscript Central, which is a submission process, and the AJPP pays for that, so it pays Scholar One in order for that to happen. We have managed to get onto PubMed, for instance, and by so doing, the AJPP has paid for SPI to be able to convert our PDFs into XML, into the format that can go into PubMed, and all that is catered for and paid for by the AJPP. So really, in saying that it's been a lifeline, that isn't an exaggeration. The AJPP has really been the breath of fresh air that the Malawi Medical Journal really needed, and it has managed to get us to an international standard that we are proud of. I think our adjustment would be to, because we've got so used to doing online submissions, we would explore elsewhere. For example, through African Journals Online and so on, and that's what we would have to do. And then it would mean retraining everybody, retraining our, particularly our editorial board members, our peer reviewers, because they usually use the Scholar One. So yeah, it would require that sort of readjustment and trying to look for other ways, because I don't think we can go back to email submissions or letter submissions. We've really moved on from there. And we would have to look to, alternative sources of funding for that. Try and get sponsorship from sort of organizations. Firstly, we would start within Malawi and see what sources would be available or would see that as an important investment or having an interest in that. So certainly, we would have to do that, yes. So the greatest accomplishments, I would say, first of all, I think for us to get listed on ISI is a huge accomplishment, because that means that, we are an accredited journal. And as a result of that, even in Malawi, the benefits of that, before, when people were applying for promotion and cited a publication in the Malawi Medical Journal, it was ignored because it was just seen as, well, that is, because there's so many other journals, but it is just some. But when we became ISI accredited, when we became, when we appeared on Medline, when we became PubMed as well, we're also on AJOL. So on all those, that really greatly lifted the credibility of the journal and the respect the journal was given. And I do remember that at a graduation ceremony where the Vice Chancellor was speaking and the President of the country was present, he mentioned that the Malawi Medical Journal is now an accredited journal and has of international, standard. And as a result of that, all submissions to the Malawi Medical Journal are counted towards promotions. I think that's a great achievement for, that we've done, yes. And actually for the country, because it is the first to be accredited on ISI. Even within the Journal Partnership Project, the Malawi Medical Journal was the first. So I think that was a great achievement, and I really, acknowledge and thank my predecessor, Musa Gondwe, who worked really, really hard to get that to happen. So I really acknowledge her and her contribution. So that's one very big achievement. I think another one has been to really have these workshops, these training workshops. We had a writer's workshop before I became editor. And what that really did, so it brought Tim Albert, who is a well-known presenter and consultant. And so it brought people and really helped to inspire the whole culture of academic writing, and launched really that the Malawi Medical Journal would play a very big role in training and be the leader in helping to promote academic writing in the country, so that people look up to the Malawi Medical Journal for the training. So they know that if the Malawi Medical Journal is going to offer a course on peer review or on writing, it is very it is overly subscribed, and so it's I think that's a very big achievement. I think another achievement has been to try as much as possible to get the Malawi Medical Journal onto the internet, particularly to have our own website. I think that's a great achievement in terms of raising the visibility of the journal, making the journal well known. And that's something that we, also count and consider as a great achievement for us, that we're proud of. So that's been, those are some of the achievements of the Malawi Medical Journal. Yeah. Some of the biggest challenges we have, the first one that stands out is really the challenge of printing, funding for printing, because printing costs are going up, and the College of Medicine has been helpful in providing funding for printing of 2 issues, and then we have special issues that would be funded. If we had a special issue on a particular topic or there was a conference, that would be funded. But of late, with the challenges, particularly with the economic situation, the country, the commitment to print, meeting the printing costs, which are continuously increasing, has been rather difficult. So that's been a challenge, to the extent that in the past year, we haven't gone to print, we've been online. Now, we would have just said, okay, let's just be an online journal. But another challenge is that in terms of our aims and objectives, to make knowledge and research and education known to as many people as possible, we really need a hardcover or a hard copy to go out into the rural areas where the internet is intermittent or not existent at all, so that clinical officers in district hospitals should be able to access the Malawi Medical Journal and use it as a resource. So in terms of that, we haven't been able to meet that objective of producing enough copies in order to disseminate that knowledge. So that's been quite a challenge for us in Malawi, and Malawi Medical Journal. Some challenges which we have, but we're managing to work through, sort of peer reviewers sort of delaying, but we are getting them timely, but we are managing to put pressure on them to deal with that. Those are the the main challenges, I think, that stand out at the moment. One thing I've learned has been that it depends who is the person who is heading the partnership, and I think it's very important for there to be continuous communication and dialogue and interaction, and continuous appreciation and understanding of the partnership and how each is benefiting from the other. So with the University of Malawi, for example, the understanding that the objective of the University of Malawi is to provide excellence. So there's 3 aspects. There's teaching, there's service provision, and there's research. And within research, dissemination of research is an integral part of research, that there is no research without dissemination. And that the vehicle for dissemination, the best vehicle, is the Malawi Medical Journal, and just to create that awareness and that constant reminder. So I think that has helped to bring about the appreciation of the importance of the Malawi Medical Journal with the partnership that we have with the College of Medicine and the university. In terms of with our advertisers and so on, again, it's the same thing in terms of just making them appreciate the value of the journal in disseminating information. We are hoping now to have a partnership with the National AIDS Commission of Malawi, and just to make them aware of that. So I think that is quite important. With the Medical Council of Malawi, in terms of continuous medical education, because the Medical Council of Malawi do, give continuous medical education points for published articles that are successfully accepted and published. And so the importance of how the journal can spearhead and help them meet their objectives. And I think that is the key for the partnership. How can the journal help you meet your objectives or help you meet what you are about? And so I have found that the need for continuous dialogue, continuous interaction is very, very important. So when somebody new comes into a position with our partner, it's important to go and meet that person and immediately say who we are and how our journal helps to help them meet their objectives, to facilitate that. So I think that's been quite important. And we are constantly on the lookout for new partners. We are on the lookout. So for example, the Society of Medical Doctors in Malawi is a potential new partner, meeting with them, interacting with them, and saying, how can we as a journal help you meet your objectives? That is part of what we think to do. So communication and dialogue has been very, very important in terms of the links between us and our partners. The greatest opportunity that we have is technology. I think we need to continuously be creative and up to date with the technological advances that are happening. And so, for instance, communication by cell phone to say we have a new edition that's up, communication in our web, communication through SMSs, communication through blogging and tweeting and WhatsApping, and all those, I think, would be something that we would want to make sure that we're up to speed and that we are bringing the new generation on board by making the MMJ, sort of friendly to that, updated to that, so that at least they can relate and identify with it. So I think that's where we really need to go, and I can see us actively doing that. And I think that's where the role of constant dialogue with the interns who would be aware of what most of their colleagues are doing, or where students, where technology is going, would be very, very important, and they will be able to guide us in that. So I see us being at the forefront of that, being very creative with that. I also see, and my vision is really to make the Malawi Medical Journal sort of the primary resource for all healthcare professionals and practitioners in Malawi, particularly for doctors, even nurses and other health cadres. I think it would be very important that the Malawi Medical Journal is like the leader, so that even if others come, everyone would know that the Malawi Medical Journal is like the primary resource. So we would be as accessible as possible, that as the internet develops and advances in Malawi, which it is doing, that we would be keeping pace with that to make sure that the dissemination happens as much as possible, that people are aware of the Malawi Medical Journal's role in that. But also, I see the Malawi Medical Journal as inspiring people, very much being the inspiration for writing and for professional academic excellence in terms of research output and research, and that the Malawi Medical Journal would be sort of the channel they would use as an output of their work. So I am quite optimistic for that. I think particularly if we do go the more technical online route, then I think that would be, if we continue to print, I can really see that might be a challenge because printing costs will continue to go up. So that is the main challenge that I do see. But I think we are certainly leaning more towards being, up to date with the technological method of output, and I think that's where we would want to go. I think we would want to maintain the standards of excellence. I think that is key. So that we would want to continue to have workshops and to really create a culture of academic writing, academic research, and particularly academic dissemination of that research, starting with our undergraduate students right through to our professors. The belief in the importance of research dissemination, and I love research. I enjoy research particularly, and I think seeing the work that is done, the work that is adding to knowledge, and there are fascinating, papers that come through, manuscripts that come through, and it's really interesting knowledge, just how we can expand our knowledge, and particularly knowledge that is relevant to Malawi and Africa, because that is the objective of the Malawi Medical Journal. And I do find that very exciting, looking forward to, okay, what's going to come in new today, that I find very exciting and very interesting. So that motivates me, that keeps me going. And just seeing, that edition online, is something that, okay, what's next? And there's so much potential for creativity, there's so much potential. And these are things that really interest me and excite me. So I really do enjoy research, and I do believe in the Malawi Medical Journal and its potential to play an important role in that process. Dialogue and constant communication is key with them, and just sharing our experience. I think meeting with them and being open to avail ourselves to assist in many ways. There was a suggestion made yesterday about us being even peer reviewers, that kind of thing. But also if there is an editorial or there's something that they would want to just bounce off us, being open and accessible to say, yeah, bounce that idea off us. This is what we learned. This is what our experience is. And so really utilizing our experience to help them and keeping the communication channels open, I think, is very key. So, yeah, it's great to have them on board, and we really want to be able to help in any way that they feel is needed. Chengo Kavinya, the desk editor, he's been very key and instrumental in terms of helping to get PDF over to SPF for XML conversion. But as he learns XML conversion, we really hope that he'll be able to deposit directly, to convert and deposit directly to PubMed. So that would be something that that is our goal and our aim, so that we can, as soon as we have an edition, we can submit straight away and avoid going through, SP has been great and helpful, and we are really grateful for that. But as we grow and expand, I think that would be something that we would play a very big role in. He's also been very useful in terms of our Facebook page and working towards getting a blog going. So that technological part. Dempster has played a very big role also. He's an IT person. So he would be very instrumental in terms of checking on our website, coming up with ideas and suggestions about updating the website, and also any other, technological thing that we can do to keep up pace and abreast. Things like tweeting, maybe exploring the idea of SMSing people about we've got a new edition out, check this. Our links with the media, things like that. So I can really see them playing a very critical and important role in helping us to keep the MMJ, or move the Malawi Medical Journal to the technological advanced stage that we would like it to be. I really believe that medical education, but particularly research and dissemination, is at a very critical and important time. And what I'm really grateful for is for the AJPP and the support. It's something that I really want to thank the NIH, the NLM, all those have played a very important role. I really want to thank them for the contribution. This is like a family of professionals wanting to get the information out there. But also, it's not just about us, but it's a huge responsibility, really, that we have in order to provide an environment, like in my case in Malawi, where we would want academicians and researchers to have an outlet that is reliable, that is strong, and that is professional, and that can stand up internationally. And that's where I believe we will go to. So thank you to everyone.